Now, I'm at the Bharat Mobility Global Expo and I am at what is possibly the most exciting stall at the show. I'm at the Porsche stall. Now, Porsche has been going all guns blazing in the Indian market with record sales, and they've come here in absolute full force. Let's take a quick look at what this iconic German brand has to show. Well, one of the stars of the Porsche show is this, the all-new Macan, which has gone electric. And this Macan Turbo, it has, well, turbocharged performance, 639 horsepower, 1,130 Newton meters of torque, a 0 to 100 time of 3.3 seconds. Now, that is blisteringly quick. Another key difference is that the wheelbase is much longer, about 83 millimeters longer, and that's because it houses a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, which gives you a 600 kilometer range on the WLTP cycle. And charging is also super quick. With a 270 kilowatt charger, you can go from a 20% state of charge of the battery to 80% in just 21 minutes. And of course, it looks quite different from the previous Macan. Now, this one has a different light signature. You've got these quad LEDs over here and the main headlights over there, a deeper spoiler as well. You've got these deep intakes over here. Yes, it is an EV, but battery needs a lot of cooling. A lot of the ancillaries need a lot of cooling, and that's what is provided over here. Overall, fantastically proportioned. The one thing I like about the Macan, it is just perfectly sized for the Indian market and Indian roads. So in that sense, it is quite the perfect SUV. I think it's the perfect size. It's got the performance and it's got the range. And from the rear as well, the Macan looks very, very distinctive. Of course, the turbo badge, which signifies the performance it has. You've got this solid horizontal element over here, these sort of cuts over here, and air intakes, which really kind of accentuate the width. So Macan cabin, the interior, very, very driver-centric. Of course, seating position, absolutely top class. What you have is 3 screens across the dashboard, one for the passenger, the central screen, and of course, one for the instrument panel. What I also like is that you have hard buttons for key functions like the aircon and the volume. I wish all manufacturers would do something like this. You've got multiple drive modes as well. You've got Sport, Sport Plus, Normal, and of course, Off-Road mode. Don't forget, this is a 4-wheel drive SUV, so Off-Road mode really makes maximum traction of all the driven 4 wheels. So I'm sitting in the back and legroom is pretty decent. That extra wheelbase has helped and liberated more space over here. You do sit a bit low, but don't forget, this is a very sporty SUV. And overall, the back seat is surprisingly comfortable. So yeah, the boot also pretty spacious, nice flat floor. It's really quite well designed and well shaped. No spare tire, but enough space for your luggage. This is the car that you can drive fast and for long distances. And the other star of the Porsche stand is this, the new Taycan, the all-electric Taycan. It is much faster now, 884 horsepower, 890 Newton meters of torque, and a 0 to 100 time of 2.7 seconds. This is an absolute missile on wheels, a very quiet missile, I might add. It's got some sharper elements over here in the bumper. Again, light signature is very, very different. But again, the range also is up. It's up to 600 kilometers on the WLTP cycle, despite all that staggering performance. So really superb energy management, because despite all that power and performance, it still manages some phenomenal range. Again, this is a car which gobbles up highways at blistering speeds and in complete silence. Now, being an EV, you would expect the interior of the new Taycan to be completely digital, and it is, except of course for the chrono pack, which is standard on the turbo model. That is true to tradition, a beautiful piece of analog heritage that Porsche has steadfastly maintained. But otherwise, everything else is digital, very neatly laid out. You've got this, you've actually got 4 displays over here. You've got one for the passenger, again, which is optional, but it's there on the turbo. You've got the central display, which of course gives you all your infotainment information and other information as well. And of course, the instrument display, which is again very configurable. And you've got this display in the center console, which fundamentally controls all the aircon settings. What I also like is that you've got these 2 large cup holders, a bit of a storage box over here. So a fair bit of practicality. Door bins are nice and large. So really, this is a car that you can comfortably live with even as a daily driver. Now, the new Taycan, it's a proper 4-seater. Legroom is pretty decent. You've got rear aircon vents, which are again, you can control the temperature and the fan speed. You've got an armrest, double cup holders in here. And I really like this pano roof, which you get on this turbo version. It makes the insides a lot more airier and just overall a better place to be. Now, the rear also has some styling tweaks. You can see this large horizontal bar, this light bar over here, and with the Porsche name inside, that really looks cool, especially at night. Turbo badge obviously tells you what the spec is. You've got a more chiseled bumper over here, and these kind of indents in the light at the end of the lights, which really kind of make the car look wider and much sharper. Also on display is the Panamera GTS. Now, this is the facelifted Panamera. So what we have is revised lights, bumpers, but I think the talking point really is the engine. You've got the 4-liter V8. Power has been bumped up to 500 horsepower, and this GT car really is something that can munch highways. It sits about 10 millimeters lower than a standard Panamera, obviously a much sportier variant, but again on these pretty large 21-inch wheels. So again, this 4-door GT car, really this 4-door Panamera GTS, meant for cruising. It's got a very sporty edge to it, but at the same time, it has that balance of everyday usability and very sharp and agile handling. 0 to 100 in about 3.8 seconds, and if you can find the road, you'll be able to max it out at 302 kilometers per hour. And at the speeds the Panamera GTS is capable of, it has active aero to keep it glued to the ground. Now, this is a pretty cool trick over here. You've got a split spoiler over here, which after deployment, the kind of width increases to increase downforce. And with the Panamera facelift, you've got a new digital dashboard. Gone are the analog contours, but you have configurable digital dials, and you've got this massive screen over here, a twin display screen, one for the passenger and one central display unit as well. And of course, no Porsche stall or display can be complete without the iconic 911. Now, the 911 we have here is the latest iteration, the 992.2. Again, let's take a look at what the changes are on the exterior. Of course, the 911s always are evolutionary. The changes are more and more subtle, but over here, there is quite a noticeable change. The turn indicator has now been integrated into the headlight cluster. And the 3-liter flat-6 turbo has also been tweaked, and power has slightly bumped up to 394 horsepower, which translates to a 0 to 100 time of 3.9 seconds. The big change inside the cockpit of the facelifted 911 or 992.2 is that the analog dials have gone and you have got a full digital instrument display, which of course is configurable, and you've got the standard central display as well. But again, Porsche hasn't moved all the functions to the screen, and key functions are still nice buttons over here. So you've got, of course, the aircon, you've got the volume, and of course the damper settings, traction control. A lot of people like to have it off, and of course if you want to open the exhaust flaps or not. And of course the chrono pack is analog as ever. And we have a familiar face also at the stall over here, the Porsche stall. It is the 911 GT3 RS. This is the absolute track champion, the track king. Now, we at Autocar have set production car records at the BIC for the fastest lap, and set a new lap record at the course circuit in Coimbatore as well, at the hands of Narendra Karthikeyan. This car is an aero wonder. The active aero is absolutely amazing. This is a car that has to be driven on a track to truly believe what it's capable of.